As you can see, we have the entry tier list. Now, one thing I want to say before this video starts is this is not a normal tier list. When I put Ashe in built to entry, but I put Thermite in hard support, I'm not saying that Ashe is an S tier operator and is better than Thatcher in the F tier. It's not a normal tier list. Thatcher being in hard support just means that he's bad at entering. Not that he's bad at entering, but that he shouldn't be entering in the first place. You could enter with Thermite, you just shouldn't, which is why I'm putting Thermite in the hard support category, while I put Ashe in the built to entry category, because if you didn't know, Ashe is built to entry frag. She's a 3-speed with amazing weapons with ACOGs on both, and she has the breaching charge that is very quick, very loud, and you're able to rush with. So if there was ever an operator in the entire game that was made to be an entry, it definitely is Ashe. Somebody else who I think was definitely made to be an entry fragger is Amaru. I think Amaru is made to be an entry fragger. Do I think Amaru is a good operator? No. Again, this is not an S tier, this is not an F tier. I'm not putting these in order of who's better, who's worse. It's just who is made to entry frag and who's not made to entry frag, in case you want to know who to play when you're entering. Amaru was definitely built to entry frag. That is Amaru's job. Whether she's a good operator or good at entry fragging is not on the table. It is whether or not she is built to be an entry fragger, and honestly, she is. As bad as an operator as she is. Someone else who's pretty good at entering, but definitely not built to entry, is Buck. Buck is a good entry. One of the best operators in the game right now, but not necessarily made to entry frag. You can entry frag as Buck, for sure. You got the good gun, you got the good flashes, you got the utility that helps you, but it's not actually the main thing you're supposed to do as Buck. As Buck, you're supposed to make vert, and you're supposed to open up sight lines. It is what it is. I'm not saying that you cannot entry frag with Buck. I think Buck is a good entry. You should do it. I actually wholeheartedly support you doing it. But Buck wasn't built to entry frag. Buck was not made with the purpose and intention of entry fragging, because you're able to do other stuff other than entry frag and do it well, and do it easier and more efficiently than entry fragging that you could ever do on Buck. So I think Buck is a great entry frag, do not get me wrong, but he was not built to be an entry fragger, and that's something that I think anybody who's played the game for the past 5 years would know. Now I want to go over a bit of a weird category, and this is the situational entry fragger. These are people that can entry frag, but really only if the situation calls for it. The first person in this category being Maverick. Now, you can entry frag as Maverick. You absolutely can. The only time you would really do it is if you're using Maverick's torch to open up a soft wall somewhere to sneak in, or maybe opening up a barricade so that you can use your good gun and the fact that you're a 3-speed and your flashes to go on at entry frag. But 9 times out of 10 when you're playing Maverick, you're just going to use him to get a wall, although there is an avenue for you to entry frag and do it really well, which is why I put Maverick in the situational entry frag tier list. He wasn't built to entry, and he's not a good entry, meaning that you can play the entry every single round, but you can situationally be a good entry operator, just, if it calls for it. The issue with that, though, is you need other hard supports on your team for Maverick to be able to situationally entry frag, so you have the operators for it. What kind of supports am I talking about? I'm talking about supports like Thatcher and like Hibana. These two are all hard supports. Their entire job as an operator is to support the team, which means naturally, they're not going to be best suited for an entry frag playstyle. Can you entry frag with them? Again, yes, you can. You just shouldn't though, because your main job is to use utility and kind of join your teammates in so they can entry frag instead of you doing that. Now we've talked about hard supports. Let's talk about people who are soft supports. People who are still supposed to support, but not really as much as a Thermite or a Thatcher or a Hibana. The first of which being Osa. I think Osa is a great soft support or a secondary support if you play competitive. You have the EMPs for wall, and you have the ability to sit outside of a wall with a shield. I think it's great. However, you can use Osa to take space if you have the shield in front of your face, and also you have a good gun to do so. So I do think you're a support operator as an Osa, for sure. Just not really as much as like a Thatcher or a Thermite, but still a support nonetheless, and you shouldn't be entry fragging with Osa either. Pretty much everybody under flex you shouldn't be entry fragging with. That goes pretty much without saying. Another person that I think should go in the soft support category would be Fuse. You can make an argument for Fuse being flex or situational. Fuse is kind of a hard operator to rank purely because of the fact that you can get kills with the utility, and he has good guns for getting kills. Really, you're not going to get kills with his utility the higher in the rank you go, because people will just shoot the Fuse charge, and a gun making it to where you're more of an entry isn't really all that valuable if you're a 3 armor and you have utility that's slow to use, you know what I mean? So it felt right for me to put Fuse in soft support. If you think he's a flex, I get it completely. Next up is Sens. I also think Sens is a soft support. The whole purpose of Sens is to get Sens walls down so that your teammates can get a plant down. People who bring smoke operators or people who are meant to get plants down are just meant to be support operators. That's just kind of how it is. Now I know Sens is far from a 3 armor, but still the ability to have Sens walls down and that being your entire purpose as an operator definitely screams soft support to me. Now, I do think there is, like, the option to frag, though. Like, you have a good gun. The secondary utility supports it. You might even bring burn. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Sens in flex, actually. I don't think Sens is a soft support operator. I think Sens could definitely be a flex operator for sure if you played Sens in an entry way. But the entire point of a flex operator is that you're neither an entry nor a hard support operator. You just do what needs to be done in the round. So if you have an entry fragger that dies, you become the entry fragger. If you have a support that dies, you become the support, right? So not really either, but still can do what needs to be done if either role dies, which is why I think Sens is a flex, whereas somebody like Fuse couldn't really be the entry fragger if one of your entry fraggers died, which is why I put Fuse in soft support. So now that we have all of our actual tiers defined, let's just go straight into the rest of the operators. The first of which being Ying. I think Ying is in between good entry and built to entry. If there was a tier in between these, I'd put her here, but for now I'm going to put Ying in built to entry. The ability to blind people so you can kill them sounds like an operator that was built to entry to me. Now, the higher level you go, the operator of Ying is played much less like an entry and much more like a space-taking operator, but for the majority of players watching this video who aren't a competitive player or a champion player, you're just going to use Ying to entry, and I think that's perfectly viable, especially in a meta that suits Ying and that suits fast-paced gaming and smoke plants. So I think Ying kind of was built to entry for the average player. And it wasn't really until competitive adapted her to be a space-taking operator that she became anything but an entry fragger. Speaking of good entry operators, let's talk about one named Monty. Now, I think Monty is a good entry operator, but I don't think Monty was built to be an entry and had the intent of being an entry fragging operator, but I think you can entry as Monty. I think if it actually weren't for the shield rework, you'd have Monty here, or maybe here, but like, I think the fact that shield rework is in effect is the only reason why Monty is a good entry, because you can actually play Monty as an entry. The fact that they can't shoot you back and you can just get free melee kills, you can roam clear for free in tandem with like a Deimos or a Jackal or a Dokkaebi or a Lion. I think the fact that you can do that as Monty by definition makes you an entry fragger, because the whole point of an entry fragger is to get the entry picks and enter, hence entry, the building, right? And Monty is easily able to take space and enter the building, and easily able to get those frags, especially on roamers who are all alone. So I think Monty is a great entry. You can play Monty like an entry amazingly. I just don't think Monty was really built to entry, and is really like one nerf away from not being a good entry anymore. So that's why I thought that Monty was a good entry. But now that we're talking about shield operators, let's talk about oh, holy shit. Okay. Let's talk about the next shield operator, which is going to be Blitz, and I think Blitz was built to entry. Now, Blitz on release definitely wasn't built to entry, because Blitz, if you didn't know, was actually a 3 armor. But when they changed Blitz from being a 3 armor to a 2 armor, they talked about the fact that they wanted Blitz to be getting kills, because that was the entire point of his ability. But him as a 3 armor just wasn't able to do that, and that's why they made the change. So Blitz was built to be an entry, they just kind of didn't assemble the pieces correctly when they made him in the factory, if that makes sense. So I definitely think Blitz is meant to entry, especially with the shield rework, especially with him now being a 2-speed and not a 3. Especially with him being a 2-speed and not a 1-speed. So Blitz being in the built to entry category shouldn't really surprise anybody here. So Blitz being in the entry category doesn't really surprise me, or it shouldn't surprise anybody watching this video, because if you've gone against a Blitz in the past season, you know exactly why I put him at the top of this list for entry fragging. Next up is Nook. I think Nook was built to entry frag. The ability to be able to get entry frags, whether it be primary, secondary, or tertiary entry frags, whether it be late in the round entry frags, which Nook specializes in, still entry frag, right? So the ability to go in and get an entry frag, you have the nades, you have a weapon, which not really that good, but it used to be, not really that much now, but still a weapon regardless, and an ability that dodges cameras to get entry frags. I think Nook is fine. They definitely need to buff Nook. But like I said, operators here aren't better than operators below. They're just better at entry fragging, and Nook on release was definitely built to be an entry fragger, which is why I put Nook at the built to entry frag at the top of the list. Someone who definitely was not built to entry frag, though, is Gridlock. Gridlock is a soft support. You can make an argument for flex, but I don't think Gridlock is ever put in a position where she needs to be entry fragging. The only reason I would ever put Gridlock in flex is because she has a good gun, but compared to people like Maverick or like Buck or like Ash, her gun kind of seems mid, right? I don't think her gun's mid at all, but it just, you know, in relevance to other guns, it might seem a little worse. So I think Gridlock's a soft support. The entire point of Gridlock is to watch flanks and to make it to where the defenders can't rotate on site when you're getting the bomb down. That's why you have EMPs to get a wall open to get the bomb down, or you have smokes to smoke to get the bomb down, right? She's a get the bomb down operator. She also covers the mask of the plant when you're getting the bomb down. So she is meant to get the bomb down. So she's a soft support. If you don't understand why she's a soft support, you might understand because I just said get the bomb down 17 times. So that might be like a hint. Someone else who is a soft support would be Callie. Callie, you're meant to get walls open. That's the entire point. You can use her to get castles or zombies or any other bulletproof utility as well, but she also has a sniper that you can't really use to entry frag with. I like her SMG, but if you wanted a good weapon to entry frag with, you'd play literally any of these operators up here. So I think Callie is meant to be a soft support. Now let's talk about some better entries on this list, the first of which actually being Lion. I think Lion is a good entry. Like, you can play Lion as an entry fragger with your scans as a solo queue player really well if you're good at droning yourself in, right? So like, imagine a scenario, there's a roamer, right? You drone him out, but you scan immediately after. So if he sits still, because you droned him out, you know where he is, and you can pre-fire him. However, if he moves and runs away, you don't know where he is, but he gets pinged by the Lion scan immediately after, so now you know where he is, and you pre-fire him and kill him. You get a free kill regardless, and because you have one of the best DMRs in the game, or an AR with a drum mag on it, you are guaranteed that kill. So you can use Lion to actually get kills in entry, and I think it's actually pretty viable to do so, especially because he has flash grenades as well. Someone else who I definitely think you can entry with that I think the console community has been valuing for a while PC players have not really been entering with at all, would be Twitch. I think Twitch is actually a good entry. You can use the Twitch drone to get rid of any utility stopping you from running in and entering, and then you also have the good guns to back up your entry, and you have smoke grenades to cut off lines of sight so you can reposition and entry that person that you smoked off later. I think Twitch, you can actually use her utility in specific to be able to entry yourself in if you're being by yourself, solo queuing, whatever it may be. And like I said, Twitch is an entry fragger that console players have been using as an entry fragger for the longest, while PC players haven't really been giving her the light of day because, you know, if you have good mechanical skill like you are on PC, you're just going to bring an Ash, right? You don't really need to bring the utility on Twitch, but I think it actually is viable, and for any of my console players watching, this one's for you. Somebody else who I think definitely is a good entry would be Glaz. And on that note, Blackbeard, because they kind of play the exact same. You sit in the back and you hold long angles for kills, right? Glaz, I think is a good entry because you're a 3-speed. You have the smokes for your ability to get kills. You have a sniper to get kills. You have good damage on that sniper to get kills. You have a bearing 9 as a secondary to get kills if you can't get kills with your sniper. So, like, definitely good for getting kills. But I don't think Glaz was made to entry frag, because part of entering frag... Let me redo that. Because part of entry fragging is entering into the building. That's why it's called entry frag. You're getting a frag on entering the building. However, Glaz never really enters the building. He sits outside. He gets those frags, so that's half of entry frag, but he sits outside. The same thing with Blackbeard. Blackbeard doesn't have to sit outside as much. You still do, but you still, like, just hold long angles with Blackbeards in hallways, and you're not really entering. You're just kind of holding to get kills. So they weren't really built to entry, but they're still pretty good at getting entry frags. Which is why I put them in the good entry spot and not really built to entry, because they're like there, but they're not really quite there, if that makes sense. Next up, let's talk about a bit of a situational roamer. Next up, let's talk about a bit of a situational entry, which would be Striker. And I think Striker is completely dependent on what utility you bring on Striker, because that's the entire point. You can bring the flashes, and because you have an M4 with an ACOG, you can be an entry, or you can bring hard breaching charges and EMP grenades, and now you're a support, right? So you can situationally entry frag really well, but a lot of times you just won't need to, or you just won't because there's other utility you want to bring. So it's just completely situationally dependent on what you bring as a person. Someone else that I think is pretty situational if they're going to entry or not is Deimos. Deimos is good at entering, but he's also good at being an aggressive support operator. So instead of actually going in as Deimos and roam clearing by yourself, if you're in a coordinated stack of people, you can sit outside the entire time and just give call outs whenever you actually see somebody on your Deimos scan. Now your teammates are surrounding this kid, and the only info he has is a guy who's outside of the building, right? Doesn't do much for him, does a lot for you. So situationally, you can play him as an entry by yourself, sure, but you can also play him as a soft support too, or as a flex if you want to play vert with a shotgun, right? So, like, I think he's just situational. It depends on how you play him, honestly. Now, someone who is just like that is actually Grim. I think Grim you can situationally entry frag a lot, because it's kind of the same thing as Lion, where, like, you drone a kid out, right? If he sits there, you pre-fire. If he doesn't and you Grim B him, you know when he moves and you know exactly when he's going to swing you, and you get a free kill anyways. You also have a good gun with ACOGs on it. You have a bailiff to be able to make yourself sightlines like you do on Buck, right? So for the same reason as Buck and Lion, I think Grim can be a good entry fragger, but I also think Grim could be a good soft support slash flex operator if you're going for smoke plants or fast executes, right? So that's why I put Grim in situational, because just like Deimos and just like Striker and just like Maverick, it's situationally depends on your playstyle and what you think you're going to do in the round. And for the final situational operator, so I stop using the word situational in this video, I'm going to go with Yana, and this might surprise a lot of people here. The reason for this being is because now Yana brings EMP grenades. I'm not sure if Yana got her flashes replaced with EMP grenades or if she has both of them now. I'm pretty sure they got replaced. Let me know if I'm wrong about that in the comments though. But I think she got her flashes replaced with EMP grenades, which means it's a lot harder for her to entry frag. You can still entry frag by using her clone to get information and then following up with her amazing guns. Or you can use the EMP grenades to help your team get the wall and then clone in for them so that they can go in and entry and get space, and then you kind of just flex and stay in the background. You can either be a support if your team needs it, or you can be the entry if your team needs it. You can kind of do either or, which is why I think it's a bit situational. You could arguably put Yana in flex as well, but I think she's more suited to entrying. No, I'm gonna put Yana in flex. I think Yana's more of a flex than she is situational, because it's not like you're gonna like entry frag only on certain occasions. Like you could entry frag every time if you wanted to, which is why I think Yana deserves the flex role for sure. Damn, should I put the flex above situational? I feel like that would make more sense. It doesn't matter. These two aren't even technically entries, either of them either. They could be on their own fucking tier list. It wouldn't matter. Anyways, next operator, I'm gonna go with Capitao. Capitao is a flex operator. You either play support with him with hard breaching charges and EMPs, or you use the Capitao firebolts to flush people out of positions to get kills. Either or, doesn't matter. Now that we're going over flex operators, let's just go over a bunch of them and speed run this, right? Next, IQ. IQ, you get either entry frags with IQ because you're a 3-speed with a good gun, or you use your utility to get rid of Valk cams and Echo cams. No in between. Nomad. You either sit and bait your Nomad air jabs in order to get kills on anybody flanking, and you can use her flash grenades to get those kills, or you can play more of a supportistic playstyle by using her air jabs for runouts. Ram, you can use her for vert, you can use her as a support type of playstyle and just sit on floors and ceilings, or you can use her to entry because her Ram breaks barricades immediately and use her good guns to clean up with her flash grenades. Brava is a flex. The only reason she's not a soft support is because she brings a good gun. The fact that you can bring a good gun with smoke grenades makes you kind of have the ability to entry if you need to, but mainly she's meant on hacking utility and using her smoke grenades, which is why I put her in flex and not anything above that. Next is Flores for the exact same reason as Brava. You're meant to be on your drones kind of the entire round. You do have some good guns, I guess, on Flores to be able to entry with if you need to, and you have flashes, but that's about all you have going for you. You can play either a support or an entry, which is why Flores is going in the flex category. Next is Ace. Ace, also a flex. You can use the AK on Ace to get kills, or you can use the breach to play support and get the wall open. You can even use the breach to get a wall open to get a kill if you need to, if you're on a map like Coastline where you don't need to get a wall open, which is why Ace is one of the best and most notable flex operators in the entire game. Talking about notable flex operators, I want to talk about Zero. I think Zero is the perfect example of what a flex operator is, because you can use Zero to do literally anything. Now, I've talked about on my channel how I think Zero is a bit overrated. I think everybody meat rides this operator as a great S tier operator, but in reality, the only reason Zero is good is because you have a lot of possibilities as what you can do with Zero, because again, Zero is a flex operator. Zero can flex to whatever needs to be done. You want flank watched, you can use Zero. You want a cam in sight, you can use Zero. You want a drone, you can use Zero. You want something off a wall, you can use Zero. You want default camps gone, you can use Zero. You want hard breaching charges on the wall to open the wall, you can use Zero. Like, you can just use Zero to do so much. That's why Zero's good. Zero isn't good because he has an ability that's super impactful. Zero is good because he has an ability that you can be versatile with. But I don't think he's S tier. I do think he is a perfect example of a flex operator, though. Common misunderstanding there. Real ones know what I'm talking about. Next up, let's go over Sledge. Now, before I made this video, I was going to put Sledge in flex, but I think Sledge is more of a soft support, and I'll tell you why. Before Sledge was a 3 armor, Sledge was a flex, because you would use him to get vert, but you could also use him to get kills because he had a 1.5 on a good gun, and you had frag grenades that you could cook to get kills. Now, frag grenades can't cook, so you can't use him to get kills. He's also a 3 armor, so it's much harder for him to get any kills on vert, and it's much more reliable and consistent for him to use vert to just open it up so your teammates can get kills. Also, the 1.5 time scope is gone. Sure, you have an ACOG, but at close range, that thing's gonna suck, and you don't have an SMG-11 as a backup to take those close range gunfights. So I think he's more of just kind of a soft support operator. You only really use him if like Ram is banned and somebody else is playing Buck. That's it. There's really no other reason for you to play Sledge, in my opinion. Now, we only have 4 operators left. I'm going to go over Zofia, and the rest of these 3 are probably going to shock you. First of all, I think Zofia is a flex operator. You have the ability to use her good guns and her stuns to get kills, or maybe use her stuns and her impacts in order to burn utility and take utility off the board. The fact that you're a 3 armor also kind of reinforces that sort of playstyle, so you can be an entry or you can be a support. You can flex to whichever your team needs, which is why Zofia, again, is one of the perfect examples of a flex operator. Now, the controversial trio here. I think all 3 of these operators were built to entry frag. Let me explain. Roam clear operators, what is the purpose of a roam clear operator? Let me ask you. The purpose of a roam clear operator is to clear the roamer out of roaming, whether it be to take the space or to get a kill. Now, what are the 2 things an entry fragger is supposed to do? He's supposed to take space and he's supposed to get a kill. That is exactly what Jackal and exactly what Dokkaebi do. They use a phone call to either make the roamer go away so they can enter into the building to take that space, right? Or they use the phone call to get a kill. Same thing with the Jackal scan, right? Now, it's obvious because of what I just explained that these 2 are entry fraggers, but why did I put Finka as an entry? If you've ever used her LMG and flash grenades, you know why. That's all I have to say. Anyways, with that out of the way, my name's Alka. Check out this next video, and I hope we'll see you there. Later.